Hi, I'm Tina Trenner, and this is Pahrump Now. We're back. That last segment was hard for me to get through. Maybe we'll get through this one. My guest is Joe Burdinsky, and Joe is the chairman of the Nye County Republican Party. I'm glad you're here, Joe. We're suffering together.
We're suffering together. I'm glad to be here today.
Yeah, it's really been one of the most earth-shaking experiences, so out of left field. Dennis was so happy and having such a good time Monday night, and he was gone the next morning, so it's really difficult. Joe, tell people a little bit about what you knew about Dennis.
Dennis was one of the nicest and kindest, caring persons I've ever met, and I've met a lot of people over the years.
Yeah.
And the thing that impressed me is one day he came over to my home and we had dinner together, and my wife had made meatloaf. And Dennis said, you know, I really like meatloaf, but I just love your wife's meatloaf. And he would say things, and he really meant it. There was another time we were out, and he was campaigning, and he was talking to this couple. They were a senior couple, and they had some health issues. And Dennis actually helped them with their wheelchair, got them something to drink, and talked to them about their concerns. He had such a caring, loving heart with them, and he really cared about Nevada and the people of Pahrump and Nye County.
And until you knew him, and then what you said in the last segment, once you met him, you knew him. He was like an open book. There was no deception. There was no craftiness. It was just, I'm Dennis. How are you? Here we are. It's the way he was.
The way he was. He was just a natural, fun-loving person that cared about people.
And he cared about Nevada so much. And his vision is something that I mentioned. We have to keep it moving forward, because the commerce tax is the reason he ever got involved in politics. And quite frankly, his advisors and very close friends said, "Are you crazy? Don't do this." I mean, they did. They told him. Mm-hmm. And he said, no, I've got to do this. I've got to give back to the community. I've got to give back to the state. I've been so fortunate. I want to do this. So he went into politics, and he got blasted. Blasted. Kind of like Donald Trump gets it every day. It just was a never-ending. We've got county commissioners that went after Dennis in the most foolish. Well, your name was in there, too, on that one thing with Butch Boraski.
That's correct.
Yeah, mentioned that if he gets killed, why, Dennis or Joe or someone else, Don Cox, might have done it. So the county, for some reason, really went after Dennis. And Dennis survived it all. He had his head above the crowd. He walked with honor, and he came through it fine. So now we've won the primary. That was a hard primary to win. Primary. And we won it, and by a lot. He won it by a lot, which means a lot of you folks that are watching voted for him because you believed in him. Now we have to keep, as we said, do it for Dennis. We have to keep his vision alive, and we have to keep moving forward. So, Joe, there's a whole process that has to be done in order to make Dennis win. He still has to win, which sounds kind of silly. A person passes, but we need a conservative Republican in there. We need someone that still cares about our water, cares about our guns, cares about the taxes. We still need someone in there like that, which is what Dennis would want. So Dennis first has to win. Explain it.
Yes, that's a good point, Tina. The Nevada Constitution is pretty clear on the process, and it's an involved process. It's somewhat convoluted in a way.
It seems it.
All right. Basically, Assembly 36, that's the district that Dennis would be represented, touches into 3 counties: Nye County, Clark, part of Lincoln County. The county commissioners will meet in each county, and they will decide who the person will be for that assembly district. And it's based on the last census, on the population. So Nye County, of course, will have the more influence then on over Clark or Lincoln counties. And the 3 counties then will meet, and it'll be the chair of each county, and they will vote and determine who the next assembly person is. And if there is a tie in the vote, which would be kind of difficult with just 3, but if there is, then there is a process also based on percentages and some formulas that would help clear that up. So, as you mentioned, it's very, very important that Dennis' visions lives on. We need to vote for Dennis because we need to make sure the Assembly 36 stays in Republican hands with a good conservative who believes in the Constitution and liberties, the Second Amendment, and so forth.
So let's go through this again. We're doing it for Dennis. Understand, do it for Dennis. You're going to see signs everywhere that remind you to do it for Dennis. So you have to go to the polls and vote just as though he's still alive. And once we get that win behind us, because trust me right now, the other person running is a progressive Democrat. The word progressive is a cover word for basically communism. These people believe in open borders, they believe in high taxes, they believe in sanctuary cities and states. These are not people that represent our values. And this lady, she has a interesting way of masking who she is. And she knows nothing about water at all. And she goes to the developers to get her information. So we absolutely cannot even allow her to get close to this. She's way behind in the polls, and she's going to stay that way. So it's up to you to do it for Dennis. So you're going to see the signs that say, do it for Dennis. It's going to be everywhere. And because that's what Dennis would want. He would want us to do that. He wants you to do that. So then once Dennis wins, then this whole process begins. And who is it that will choose which people? It'll be the Republican Party?
Yes, the Republican Party will have you as part of the law here in Nevada is that since it would be a Republican, Dennis ran as a Republican, he wins the election, then he has to be replaced with a Republican. And it would be the Republican Party of Nye County, Clark County, and then Lincoln that would pick the candidate.
Okay, so Lincoln could possibly say we have someone we want to put in the mix.
That is correct.
Okay,
that
all
is
right.
Correct.
So that would be some, because here's the thing too, and this is really, really important. We are rurals, and we want to maintain our rural lifestyle. The Democrat lives in Las Vegas, barely out of the city. She's right on the line where it's right in the middle of the city. And that's something that we just can't have. I think out of 43 assembly people, 30 of them are already from Las Vegas.
Correct.
We just don't need 31. We need to keep our rural representation. We have to. So, Joe, tell us a little bit more about Dennis.
Yeah, the first time I actually met Dennis was up in Carson City at a dinner. It was a fundraiser for the state Republican Party, and President Trump was there. And I was asked if I would like to meet Dennis. And I had some reservations at first, like you did.
Yeah, and well, maybe not.
And Dennis is sitting down, and I walk up there and put out my hand, and he shakes my hand and gives me that Dennis Hoff smile. And, how are you, Joe? I've been wanting to meet you. I hear you're a great guy. And
he had you that quick.
He had me that quick.
That's what he did, yeah.
And then he was, talking about his conservative values, President Trump. He was very warm, hospitable, and yet he was knowledgeable of the issues that concern us all.
Yeah,
especially our rural industry. And we were talking, and one of the things he talked about was up in Carson City, there are wild horses. And he actually feeds those wild horses. Out of his own pocket, he would get hay and straw and the other types of things that are interested in the horses.
He waters them?
He waters them, yeah.
Well, I was up there. He had a birthday party. And I said he's the perpetual birthday guy. He had a 5-day birthday party, okay? And it culminated, the last one was here at the Nugget the other night, Monday night. Mm-hmm. Okay, but Saturday night, he had a party up in Carson City, and I went up. And there's horses all over next to the road. They're everywhere. Mm-hmm. And he told me it makes him crazy. They get out on the road sometimes, they get hit. People get hurt, horses get hurt. And so he and I were going to work on that. Because, I've been in the horse business my whole life. And so we had some pretty good conversations on what we could do about the horses in Carson City, but the horses in general, because, and you know, we lost him before I could even talk about this incident that just happened up at Pickens Ranch. Mm-hmm. Did you hear about that, where those horses were killed by the BLM?
Yes.
And he was like me. We were on the same page. You know, we agreed on almost everything. We really did. Mm-hmm. The BLM needs to go, and he agreed that we needed to work with them. Dennis had a nicer way of saying things. You know, I might kick their ass out of here. He's like, no, Tina, we need to negotiate and talk to them. And so he was more of a diplomat than I am. It's like, get them out. But he had a way with people and a way with animals. Now, another thing is, and this is amazing, but I want everyone to know this, that was at the party the other night. At the birthday party, Dennis adopted a dog.
Oh, that's right.
And that was Milo.
Milo.
Oh, my God, that's the cutest poodle. This little poodle that he got from over at the animal shelter. So they brought the poodle in, and he had his little paws like this. And they carried him up on stage, and we have a wonderful picture of Dennis. If I can get them to put this in here, we will. Wonderful picture of Dennis holding this dog. So, of course, he gave him back the dog. He said, I'll pick it up in the morning. And it didn't happen. So anyway, we went and picked up Milo yesterday. And I got to hold Milo. And I held him. We drove out to Mountain Falls with him. And he sat perfectly and looked out the window. Just looked and looked. Never moved. Wonderful. So Dennis would have had a great dog. And right now he's with, he's over at the Stricklands. He's camped out there for right now. Deborah said, I'll take him home with me for now. I said, okay, because I don't know if my two clowns would maul him or something. You know, I've got those border collies.
You sure do.
They really just act up. All right, let's go back to, again, so what we have to do is we have to get Dennis elected.
Vote for Dennis on November 6th.
You have to. This is something that we absolutely have to do. Then once we get him elected, then we move on to this process. Now, I believe the person is chosen, but won't be sworn in until January, is my understanding.
February, I believe.
February, yes. February. The assembly is February.
February is
okay.
February, right.
So would that mean then that our new county commissioners would be voting?
Yes.
Okay, so our new county commissioners, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. You know, that's very interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like I said, it's a process, and it's really difficult to look and see what we have to do. What do we have, 20 days?
Yeah, about 20 days. Early voting starts this Saturday on the 20th.
Oh, my goodness.
It's here.
Yeah.
And, you know, and also on this process, there is some disagreement, and attorneys are looking at it now, whether it will be the new county commissioners that are elected in November or will be the current ones. There is somewhat of a disagreement amongst the political
power
play. So that still has to be flushed out. So.
Well, and there's a couple commissioners on there that have been ordered by the judge not to vote on anything that has to do with Dennis. So I wonder if that would apply too.
And that's also being looked into as well.
I'm telling you, this is
there's
really
a lot of legal issues.
Complicated.
Correct.
And you know, people have been asking me. I have literally had phone calls from New York, Georgia, Texas. I mean, name it. I've had phone calls from people all over the country asking me questions that I can't answer. But they're like, well, what did he die from? We don't know. We do not know. We have not. There's no answer yet. And I'm sure that when we come up with an answer, everyone will know. It's just so bizarre. You know, the thing about, you know, here today and gone tomorrow, it's not a joke. No. It really isn't a joke. And every one of us, you know, I mean, people say this to you all the time. Enjoy the time that you have, and enjoy the day or the minute, or your friends or your family or whatever, because you literally can be gone. And when something like this happens that just pulls the rug out from, I mean, our life, seriously, it's like the rug has been pulled out from underneath me.
Absolutely.
Don't you feel that way?
I feel that way.
And I think a lot of people in Nye County, I've had a lot of calls from people saying, oh my gosh, and tears, crying, people crying. What are we going to do? So that's what this show's about, is to, you know, make sure that you know and make sure that you understand how we move this process forward and go back to the fact we're running against a progressive Democrat. I cannot be more emphatic about how dangerous they are. You see them rioting in the streets. This woman bragged about the fact that the first day that they announced Kavanaugh was going to be candidate, she was protesting. She didn't know a thing about him, but by golly, she was protesting. She walked in that woman's march with those stupid pink hats on and bragged about that. She's just not Nye County. She's just not rural. She's just not like us. So we need to keep our values.
Absolutely, and if I can interject
please do, please.
A couple of things here. One is in talking with some of the people I know at the White House, that President Trump is very concerned about Nevada and our values, and is implicit and very supportive of all the Republican candidates that we have. And this assembly district not only will have an effect on Nevada, but can also have it nationally if the Democrats get more control, and the liberals and the progressives, and try to turn Nevada into the new California, which we don't want.
Oh my goodness, absolutely not. Make Nevada Nevada again was what Dennis said, because we've had a lot of Californians move here. This is what I don't quite understand. They leave California because they can't stand the taxes, and I may be talking to one of you right now, and you may be guilty of this. You move from California. I did. I moved from California, but I left California behind. I left it behind, but some don't. And we've had people say, oh, why don't we landscape down the 160 and have beautiful trees? And no. We don't want that. We don't want our taxes going up. We don't want to live in California. If we did, we would live there. So when you move here, accept the fact that we have Nevada values. And that's what Dennis wanted to hold on to. Why he moved here. He said the reason he moved here, he said, you can drink 24 hours a day, but he didn't drink. He said you can gamble 24 hours a day, but he didn't gamble. He didn't do drugs. He didn't do anything. He did carry a gun. He loved his gun. But he was not involved. But that freedom, the fact that you could do it, is what he likes about the state, what he loved about the state. And it's the same thing for me. It's why I moved here. I lived in California, and I said, no more. No more. And your vote makes the difference. And it's really, really important that you understand that it can get down to just a few votes. So we're running out of time. We're going to say it again, do it for Dennis.
Do it for Dennis.
Do it for Dennis.
November 6th, or if you vote early, vote for Dennis.
Someone told me yesterday that they sent in a ballot already, or they already sent it in.
Absentee. Yes.
He said, I already voted for Dennis. I said, right on, dude. Yeah. He's in Nebraska. And he said, I already voted for him. Mm-hmm. So go and vote. If you vote early, whenever you vote, get down there. Tell your friends about this, because there's going to be some of your friends that haven't seen this show. Explain to them, we have to do this for Dennis. They have to go vote for him, and that the party will make sure that we get a conservative person to go to Carson City for us. We're out of time. Joe, thanks for being here.
Thank you for letting me be here today.
I hope we've explained this to where you understand it. Our hearts are broken, and remember that Dennis loved you with all his heart.